Let me get back over still. Jason, was there anybody raising their hand or wanting to participate that's not already on here? I see 15.
Nope, there's nobody raising their hands.
Okay, seeing none, then let's go on to the next item, discussion of the master streets plan update. Tracy or Neva?
Good evening, commissioners. This is Tracy. I'm going to screen share a map here. Okay, so this discussion is a follow-up on our work session where the following items were discussed. One, reduce the scope and area of the plan and prioritize street connectivity within a 1 mile area. Revise the plan map to align boundaries with property lines or right-of-way rather than a soft buffer. Revise the text of the plan to better define the applicability of the policies, and then discuss conducting another public meeting. So if you try and zoom into areas of the map. So because of the short turnaround between the workshop and this meeting, we sat down with magic markers and drew this proposed map that will, if everyone's happy with it, we will officially do in electronic form. That went too big. So I just kind of want to go over briefly kind of what we did based on the discussion. So this blue line here is, yes?
Your screen's not being shared.
It's not.
I don't see it. Does anybody else see it?
Okay, thanks.
Nope.
Here we go. I got it.
Now we can see it.
All right. Well, good to let me know that.
I didn't want you to get
hit
too
one
far
more
on
button.
that.
This is, yeah, so the blue line is a new buffer and a boundary, and I'm going to just start with that because it kind of drives the bus. I'm going to start right here. I know we said follow property lines or right away, but we actually, while we were drawing this, thought, you know, the challenges of extending the street across the drainage are potentially a more realistic barrier or boundary for the boundaries of this map for now. So we kind of just drew on here McElmo and Hartman Draw as buffers there. For the most part, the Planning Commission identified areas west of Hartman Draw and south of McElmo on the southwest side of this plan as low priority. So that became a natural boundary. It does probably cut parcels and do some other things that may not be desirable. And we could look at individual parcels if you guys want us to. So I'm just going to kind of leave that there. We went around this big subdivision because any other option kind of just made the map a little messy. And frankly, I don't see anyone coming in with a subdivision within this subdivision, but if they did, we probably would want to review it. And then also there is a street alignment on the north side of this subdivision, so you can still see that here. This part right here does go outside of the 1 mile area a little bit, but again, I don't think it's going to cause any problems. So then that boundary, we just kind of went straight up because everything to the west of this boundary was kind of a priority. And then County Road M, I guess, became the north boundary because, you know, it sort of follows the 1 mile area, and it also followed a lot of the areas of priority. So this area here is in the 1 mile area, but you know, we kind of just brought it back to County Road M. So that's the scoop on the boundary. Now, the rest of the legend, X's are kind of where we just removed proposed right-of-way. Most of that was outside of the boundary. This little leg here, we kind of thought, well, what would this really be doing? And is it is it going to serve a real purpose? So we took it out. This local road, we couldn't quite figure out, if that's not really going to be a city arterial. So we didn't think that needed to be there. We were going to propose taking out this leg, but not this extension of Downey. And then that silver color, I believe we have down as changing it to match the existing conditions. So that is shown, I think, as a local street, but we think maybe it might need to be upgraded. Again, this area was low priority, so we took it out. We couldn't quite figure out how this would, kind of connect much city traffic, so that got X'd out. And then internally, we just kind of changed some stuff to match existing conditions or maybe add something that we thought was missing. This is actually needing to be added as existing right-of-way that we wanted on the map. We thought perhaps we'd change this from a local to a connector or arterial. And then, kind of just some of this is stuff that just needs to be edited or match the adjacent right-of-way. So I think that's it in a nutshell. We can stop here and talk about the map. And then after we're done talking about the map, I can talk about the text changes. Does that sound like a good way to proceed with this discussion for everyone?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. With that, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the proposed changes to the map.
Well, I think that Hartman Draw and McElmo are natural zones right there. So I think that was good thinking on y'all's part to use those lines to the south, especially if everyone's on board that they're a little bit lower priority to the south of McElmo and to the west of Hartman. And then I think everybody had a little bit higher priority to the north. So as far as boundary lines are concerned, I think it looks pretty good for me.
I agree with you, Steve.
Could you scroll up to the northwest a little bit more or go?
Right there?
Yeah. Was that 491?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Tracy, I
Yep.
think the Hartman Draw, you have it extended all the way out to road LML,
Oh, wait,
to
up
the
here.
north. There we go. Out to road L, where it's on the east side of 491, and it misses the Cedar Terrace. Is that right? Cedar Terrace out there, right there where your cursor is.
This area?
Oh, yeah, actually, it's probably already developed there where with the pond and the
Right
two
here?
ponds. Yeah. I'm just curious if maybe we should stop the Hartman Draw thing at, oh gosh, I don't know. It just seems to me like Cedar Terrace might be an area that we might want to annex in the future, that area. And I'm just curious if we could take that the Hartman Draw and just stop it at road. Well, I don't know what it would be, L.5 or not even L.
This right here?
Yeah, I'm going up. I'm thinking, you can't see my finger. right that area in which your cursor is. I'm wondering if we could stop it at that road or that area and move it over to to the next grid. Yeah, where your cursor is now.
Wiggle,
I-
Like
it-
this,
wiggle your cursor, because I can't tell on my little screen where it's, oh, there it is, okay.
yeah, like incorporating this,
That's,
I don't
yeah,
know.
I'm just curious. I mean, it seemed to me like that would be an ideal. I mean, I like the idea of the natural boundaries of McElmo and Hartman Draw, but maybe just a little jut out right there would be something. I don't know. It's probably not that important. I don't know. I don't know how many houses are out there in Cedar Terrace now, and I don't know south of there what it looks like as far as development goes. But I would just wondering if maybe we ought to jut that out right there. It's just a thought.
I mean, I can see that they would have, I don't know what the topography is around the 491 symbol.
Right.
But
Right.
that could be an access back into all this land. I'm just not
Right.
sure how. I mean, that's definitely something to consider, I think.
I mean, it's obviously not that important. I don't know that there'll be any developments there in the future. I'm just looking at that particular area there is where Cedar Terrace is right there, where the ponds are, is look like it could be annexable.
Right.
might be able to be annexed in the future. I mean, for different reasons. It's just and like I said, it's just a thought. It's not just the only thing that I saw that made much.
So this thing is not written in stone as it is, Lance. It can always be changed at a later date.
All right. That's fine. It was just a thought.
Well, I wrote it down as a note. We can kind of look at it at, back in the office.
Sure.
Well, Tracy, does the board want to change it? The whole board to do it the way Lance says, or just this is what Lance wants?
Make
I
sure
suppose.
that I'm clear on where it hits 491 there. You would consider just going left and then up north?
Yes,
into,
that's what I was thinking, Robert.
yeah,
Like maybe just redrawing the boundary from here down,
Yeah,
like adding
that's
that
what I
little
was
corner.
thinking.
I guess Becky has her hand raised, I think.
Oh yeah, that was from before. Sorry
Okay.
about that. But I do, it is somewhat visibility when you're coming out on L Road and you're trying to make a right-hand turn onto 491. Visibility for oncoming traffic on that southbound lane is really low because of the hill, I believe. I think that's the intersection that I'm thinking of where
Yeah, it's got a hill in a corner, Becky.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so the only reason why I think it might be, well, not the only reason, but just if there's some consideration, if say density and traffic were ever to increase on L, to kind of create a different outlet to subvert or to reroute or traffic away from that intersection that's pretty dangerous to maybe a more visible I mean, obviously this is like way off in the future and it would be CDOT and all of that, but I just find that intersection really sketchy.
It is.
I mean, it exists now, but I think that would be a good reason to include and jut out if that area is ever going to have higher density, to make sure that there's some kind of alignment with city streets that might make for better traffic flow and safety. I don't know what that would look like, but I just don't see any reason why it wouldn't be bad to like extend the boundary but not propose anything right now,
Right, right.
just in that section.
So does the board want to extend the boundary as a unit?
So this would be a good time to, I guess, pull everybody else's feelings on this and see whether or not they want to, we as a board want to direct staff, or if you guys are all okay with the way it is now and think safety could be addressed through different means.
Personally, I go along with Steve. I'm okay with the present proposal, how staff has already drawn it up. I have no objections to changing it, of course, but I don't see why we need to do it now. That can be for a future consideration.
Yes, I agree with Tom. Maybe what staff could do is make another drawing and one showing the extension that we discussed, and then be able to compare it to this one. And we'll put it on a future agenda again.
That wouldn't be too hard.
Where are we at with, I guess the rollout of going through meeting with the public and the county and all that sort of stuff again?
I think that was another discussion item was, do we want to make an edited map, get feedback, bring it back to P&Z, or do you want an edited map, look at it again, then send us out to the public?
Any comments?
I think that's a good place to start, Tracy, is to take what we have right in front of us that you're sharing the screen on right now, bring it back to us, and then we can move forward with the public outreach again.
Stephen, do we want another map for a comparison to see exactly how it comes out and then go to the public? I had trouble following your mouse. I had my big map behind me and I was kind of looking at it.
Sure. Could we set that up for another workshop?
We could.
Tracy, this is Green. I have a question. Could we schedule the public comment at the same time you bring this map back, or do you feel we have to wait till the board picks a specific map?
Well, the board can send us forward with this map with specific changes to the public. I think if the board isn't certain on which map they want to send out to the public, that might be confusing for the public.
No, I just wanted to, if there was a way to shorten the process and move it along,
Right.
I'm trying to help.
Well,
Is there any way that we can do a workshop with the public? So, I mean, essentially, I know that's what our public outreach, our public meetings are looking at. But what if, I think that Mike made a good point. If we bring forward all the things that we see, and we've kind of already done that in the first meeting, but if it's more of a side by side, the public and the commission working together to create the final draft from what we have right here in front of us, the changes that we've discussed with the boundary lines and such, and then moving it forward for final adoption after that. Is that a possibility?
I guess I'm not 100% sure how the format would work in a meeting like that.
Well, I think the board, Tracy, the board could say, okay, here's the map we're considering public. How about you have your comments on it? And listen to the comments, try not to get drawn into any long, lengthy dialogue with the public. And then end the meeting, take it back to the workshop, then take it back to the regular meeting whenever you have it, and either vote for the changes the public wanted or not.
So Mike, are you saying that first have the public comments as a meeting and then taking those comments to the commissioners in a work session and then going to the regular meeting? Is that?
I was talking about the work session that Mr. Candelaria had suggested as being the public comment on the map that you just talked about, bringing it forward with those changes, having a public comment at the workshop, then taking the public comment in the map and considering them at the next meeting
As a discussion item?
as a discussion item or an action item. And, you know, instead of having 3 more meetings, you might get away with just 2.
What I'm hearing is that we have an outreach meeting where the planning commission attends and listens.
Well,
That's
Mr.
what
Candelaria,
that sounds like.
he called it a workshop, where you guys would talk about this with the public. That's all I heard.
Right. I guess I'm just, for me, the clarification between a workshop for P and Z is where they're kind of working through something. Whereas what I'm hearing us talking about is more of the public commenting with the P and Z in attendance, as opposed to at that time, P and Z making decisions and providing direction. I'm just clarifying the format of the meeting for myself.
Well, the workshop and what you discussed would be the same because there would be no action taken. The action would be taken at the next regular meeting.
Right.
My thought process behind this is, for example, and I call it a workshop, right? Because as you mentioned, it's working through something that I felt the comment had mentioned from the prior outreach that we had was that there wasn't enough input from the constituency. So if we had a workshop where it's not so much, hey, planning and zoning is here working through this, you're welcome to watch, and it's not really an opportunity for them to comment. It's more of, let's go ahead and put a marker in their hand too. Let's work through it together. And then whatever changes and things that we come up with, we can discuss and come forth with a final draft that they have some ownership in. I think that it would be a good faith attempt to regain some trust of the constituency and also make a wholehearted attempt at getting them on board with this master street plan.
So
Yeah, I personally think that's a really smart idea.
Stephen. Go ahead, Chad. Sorry.
No, I just think that's a really smart way to proceed. So I totally agree. Not that I have a vote, but I think that'd be wise to proceed that way, in my mind anyway.
And this is green. I think no matter what you call it, I think we're all getting down to the same thing. Get the public in there, get the public input at the same time, finalizing the map. It saves 1 or 2 steps, and then we can take it, you know, to the, you can reach a consensus at the workshop and then take it for a formal vote at the next meeting.
Because then it still has to go to city council, right, Mike?
After, well, this is part of the master plan, so I don't know, Tracy, I don't think city council has to vote on this.
They do not have to vote on this.
These are just P and Z's recommendations for future use by staff and other people that are looking to develop in and outside the city. So yeah, you could be done in 2 meetings if we could combine the public outreach, the public comment, look at how the notices are printed and make it work. And I think it's a great idea.
So it's a matter of, what I'm hearing, a matter of linguistics, that we want the public to have input on public outreach, yet for us to be able to meet and not violate sunshine law, we better call it a work session. Is that follow good wordage?
Yes, sir. You are.
Well, we
spot on.
we can call it, you know, I guess I'm still, what I'm hearing is basically a charrette for the public. You know, where we would put maps up on the wall, give them markers and Post-it notes, and let them comment on the maps. Because, you know, I'm just going to throw this out there. It's pretty difficult to have the type of experience you had as a planning commission if we get 50 people showing up at a meeting. At that
Yep.
point, it really needs to be more of a charrette and not a workshop. And I don't think we can, you know, that's just my 2 cents. And they have the opportunity to provide all the input they want at a charrette. It's just hard to manage a discussion with
Tracy,
that kind of group.
Tracy, we have to call it a workshop if the P&Z is going to meet.
Okay.
That's because of the open meetings law. So it would just be a workshop, charrette, charade, whatever the words are that
Okay.
make everything. I mean, I'm serious. It's
We
just, we want public participation so we can get this thing vetted and move forward. And then have a final close to thing for the board to consider at the next meeting.
And I'm not sure we need all of those same maps up that we had before, just more condensed like what we have right here. And then
Yeah, I was thinking more that you might print 2 or 3 of the same exact map, just so that it's spread out around the room.
yeah,
And then you have a couple folks standing at each map, kind of answering questions and talking through, you know, how to participate and interact with the map. You know, the other option is you have, you know, everyone sitting in seats and we present something and then we sort of just let them raise their hands and make comments. But, you know, again, that's
How you make a record of them participating in the process. And so you could do both ways, an introduction where you show them what the maps are, let them look for a while, and then sit them down and let the workshop, the board start to discuss it, and then let the people present or comment. And, you know, we need to simplify this so we can move this forward, because we just keep having meetings and meetings and we don't seem to get to a final picture. And maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but if we could get the final proposed map, like what you have tonight, posted around the room, let people look at it for a while, then call the meeting to order, and then P&Z Commission has a workshop, talks about it. Hey, what do you guys think about the northern boundary? Comments? Okay. And then they're on the record because it's recorded and whatever. And we got minutes, and that's what I'm hoping to get so that we can move forward.
so Mike, you're thinking it'll all be done in person, is that correct?
Well, it's going to be hard to do by Zoom with the maps. I mean, I think you could do it. Don't get me wrong, but you're going to have to make them available online so people can look at them with some degree of specificity. I'm actually impressed with this map I got on my screen because I don't have that big a screen, and it looks good. Whoever did this did a really good job.
And then we're back to the protocols of COVID-19 and all the other stuff that we have to do just to have a meeting.
If you're going to have a meeting like you just voted to do, you're already into the COVID protocols.
Oh, boy.
And the people are allowed to appear by Zoom if they refuse to wear masks. The procedure is pretty well set, and it seems to work for council.
Neva, Tracy, just out of curiosity, how much traffic have we had on the online GIS map where they have the ability to comment? and make specific recommendations on individual locations?
I don't believe we've had any comments from that map. You know, that there was supposed to be an interactive map, but it wasn't quite working. So there's like a GIS map that they could then email us about, but nobody's really, since that first public outreach set of meetings we've had, I haven't had new participants. It's been the same, basically folks sending us comments and talking about it. That doesn't mean, and I totally anticipate folks showing up to an in-person meeting. I think that's just how people are engaging, is with the in-person meetings where decisions are being made. So,
Sure. I mean, just
Mike Green expressed my sentiments exactly. You can have meeting after meeting after meeting, and we're not arriving at any conclusions. We need to, I think Steve came up with a good idea, having the commission and the public get together, look at the map that we're looking at right now, take suggestions, then have another meeting of the commission and vote on those suggestions. But I'm getting tired of having these meetings and going on and discussing changes and nothing's getting done. I think the public gets tired of that too.
So Tom, getting us past paralysis of analysis, would you want the work and open session to be like maybe at 6 p.m. and then our official meeting at 6:30 on the same evening?
Yeah, it's like what Steve suggested, having the commission and the public get together at a meeting, discuss what's on before us now, and then at another meeting, have the commission vote on whatever is decided. That would be 2 more meetings instead of 3 or 6 or 7.
So if we had it right before our next regular meeting and following all of those protocols, including having the police there, John, you'd maybe have to ask them to come a half an hour earlier. We would be just following what we would normally be doing that evening.
Yeah. I don't know about the rest of the commission. I would assume they have more things to do than continue to go to meetings. I do. I have. I'm fairly busy, and
Lance, you comfortable with the protocols being in place?
The only thing I have that I'd like to say is I'd like it, the public comment. I don't like the idea of us having a meeting right after a public comment and making a decision. I think we need a little more time to digest. You know, I'm in the same thing with Tom. We need to get these things done, but I don't want to be. I think we need to digest what the public says before we vote, before we as a commission decide. And so my recommendation would be to have a workshop one week and at a meeting the next week or something like that. But I don't like the idea of having it the same day personally.
Yeah, I agree with Lance on that. I've been to other street, not the same type of plan workshops, but I've been to charrette work sessions with the public, where it's really all about gathering their input so that feedback can be incorporated into the plan. And I think if we had the meeting the same, like right after that, there would be no way to incorporate and digest any of the input from the public and then make a vote on or decision on something. And you can run it where you notice it as a public meeting and it's publicly noticed, but it's a work session and you're there doing it as a charrette based format. and then no decisions are being made, just inputs being gathered, then that is presented later at a regular meeting for decision. That there's no reason why it couldn't be done that way. And I think it would be better to do it as a outreach and engagement process where this is the time that we're asking the public for their input and their ideas and their concerns about this, based on what we've limited and what we're going to refine with this current version. I mean, yeah, I don't see why that's too much of a problem. And if you don't want to show up as a planning commissioner, you don't have to, because there's no vote taking place. So it's a work session.
So in that case, and I don't disagree with what y'all are saying for, having the work session and then being able for staff to take all the comments and for us to take in all the comments and then have another meeting. So the way I see it is we could have a workshop on the 20th of April and then put this thing into function on the 4th of May.
What day is the 20th? Tuesday?
Third Tuesday of the month.
My only concern is if you want to have a public meeting that quickly, there's not a lot of opportunity for public notice other than we could notice it in the paper on the 14th of April. I guess that would be my only concern, is if, that is 6 days before a 20th workshop. So if you feel like that's a good adequate notice in the paper, and then we do Facebook and all that.
I mean, my understanding was that we were slowing down with this whole process because there's no impinging developments happening and there's no rush. There was just a bunch of people getting upset and not understanding what a major street plan is. So this is taking the time out so that the public has a better idea of what the purpose is, and then we're not making something overly cumbersome so we don't have to constantly review everything, and it just makes more sense that we're actually reviewing subdivisions that are most likely to be in an area where streets may at some point have to be connected to the city for traffic purposes and good planning. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why we went to this place where let's slow down and let's take a step back and let's get more public engagement. And then now tonight I'm hearing the opposite again. So
Yeah, I'm kind of like Becky. I didn't really see us making a decision until later in the
no,
summer.
I know. Let's just do this in 1 or 2 meetings and let's hurry it up. And I mean, I don't know. I just feel like it's our responsibility to slow down the process and make sure everybody's comfortable with it. That's just my personal feeling about it. I'm not, you can totally disagree with me. That's fine. I just feel like it's going to be, and our role is going to be more effective if we can get better public input.
Comments? Oops.
So why don't we set up a workshop and see how productive it is? And if we get to the point where we feel like, there's good participation from the public, and we feel like we got what we needed, then at that point, if we feel comfortable to move forward and put it on the agenda for the next meeting, then great. If we feel like we need to do more, then we can analyze that after we get one of these sessions under our belt.
Tracy,
This is
go ahead, Mike.
Green, could I throw something in? If you're not getting participation, you're not getting participation. If you've noticed it, if you've been putting it out there to the public, maybe you're getting exactly what the public wants to give you. Nothing. And if nobody comes in and comments, this is only a recommendation. You aren't dedicating streets. You aren't doing anything that's, cast in stone. You're not platting streets or whatever. It can be changed. It's most likely going to have to be changed when a subdivision developer comes in. Things are going to, we're going to have to deal. And so if the public doesn't have comments, then you can proceed just as well. I mean, at some point, you got to figure out that the public doesn't have input and stop the process of just talking about it and take a vote.
No, I wouldn't say we don't have input. It's just not coming in through the website. We did have around 20 to 30 people show up to our 3 meetings, and then I gave the Planning Commission a large petition against truck bypass that's since been removed. So, I mean, there is participation happening. It's just not, I just want to be clear on my previous comment. They're just not sending us emails or signing up on the website. So I just want to make sure that's clear.
You handled that participation, so you're moving forward to the next level. Here's our final map. What do you guys think about it? I think at some point that's where we need to go so this thing can be done legally. So there's a conclusion.
Well, Stephen, isn't that exactly what you were talking about? You're muted, yes, but your
Wait,
head's-
what?
I
Me?
agree.
Are you talking to Tracy?
Yeah, I don't know who that question was referred to, but yeah. So I like Stephen's suggestion. I'm comfortable with that, and let's just move forward and see how it goes.
So does that date, even though it may be short notice, so to speak. Tracy, what Stephen had was what, the 20th? Is that right?
That's 2 weeks from tonight.
No matter what you do, somebody from the public's going to complain. Let's put it that way. That, oh, they didn't know about it, blah, blah, blah. That's the same old story you hear all my life with schools. When you put out information, somebody doesn't hear about it. And so I think our criticism has been, we haven't let the public know. And man, last time Tracy in our office did everything, put it as many places as they could, on the radio even, and they still got criticized.
Well, how about this? I mean, I just got my second vaccination, which is probably too much information for this meeting, but like now that people are starting to get vaccinated, would it not hurt to wait a little bit so that it's safer for the in-person meeting to have it in May sometime? Maybe by May we can even have it outdoors.
Gotta make a record, and outdoors doesn't work real well for that.
For what, drawing on maps?
No, for making a record, listening to people talk.
Oh, because you can't get them recorded.
Yeah.
You can get them to write comments and submit them in a suggestion box.
Got to be on the record, though.
And that's part of the,
Well, I guess I would entertain any motion that somebody might want to make, and it can either die for lack of a second or go down, and then we'd have another motion. So,
well, I feel like planning staff is probably the best to be putting organizing the meeting into whatever format they think is going to be best to get the best kind of participation, and also the best at determining how to get the notice and information out there beyond just whatever is required for public noticing, but to also get people to show up and engage. And that's all I'll say. Other than that, it doesn't matter to me. I don't have any more opinions on this.
Just out of curiosity, for us to make a notice that we're having a workshop, is there a legal requirement of how much time is required of notice prior to? 2 weeks, right?
The notice for a workshop, I mean, we just have to post that you're meeting, I believe, 24 hours in advance, but, we have gotten a lot of negative feedback on our outreach processes in the last year and a half. And so I'm just nervous to, I would not post the meeting 24 hours in advance and call it good is all I'm saying, I guess. So
Yeah, my concern was
Um,
posting it tomorrow, and we didn't have enough time. It wasn't. I by no means am I suggesting to post 24 hours in advance.
no, I know.
And
It's a little bit of a push, I think, for our workload to, get everything done in the next 4 days, is all, because you have to do things, kind of a ways before they need to actually be out. So that's, but we can get it in the newspaper by April 14th. That is possible, which gives us 7 days in the newspaper. And so if you just, 6 days, but if that's the timeline we're working on, I think everyone just needs to know that we're at a point where we're, the earliest we can really give notice is about 7, maybe 8 days before the meeting. So if everyone's comfortable with that, for a public meeting where we're actually asking the public to come attend, that's the type of notice we're getting. And how we get that out is limited to Facebook, the newspaper, posting on the city website. Getting it on ASJD is probably not possible. Radio station news flashes probably not possible. Water bills not possible. So I'm just, as long as we know that.
Well, let's go back to what Becky said. We plan that public outreach meeting in May, and then we put it on our agenda in June.
So what I'm hearing is public outreach meeting that we're calling a work session, but may have some elements of a charrette to it. We're going to hold that in May. Is that
Anybody-
kind of where we're maybe headed?
we're
anybody-
going to hold that prior to our typical meeting on May 4th. So we'd have that, and obviously not discuss what we discussed in the workshop at that time.
Well, like Lance said, I like it a little time to kind of mull over the thoughts and the comments. But I guess we don't have to make a decision at the May. We can just
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is we would have the workshop for the public participation on the Master Streets plan prior to the meeting, but that would not be a discussion item for the meeting. We could discuss that at the meeting
in June. Gotcha.
And then if we test the waters and we as a commission and planning staff feel that one meeting wasn't enough, then maybe we do another one on the 18th of May. And then that still gives us the opportunity to review another meeting prior to the meeting in June.
Gotcha. Tracy, does that give you a little more time to put things together?
Yes, I think I'm just trying to understand the desired format of a meeting. Because if you do a workshop on May 4th, we probably would, the earliest we could really, I don't know what time you guys would want to show up, but that limits time. So you're talking about an hour meeting at the longest. If you started at 5 o'clock, maybe 5:30, which would be kind of a short meeting. Are we allowing the public to work with the maps with markers in a charrette format? Are we just wanting, the planning commission sitting at the dais and then the public in the audience just kind of commenting and asking questions? Because both of those would be difficult in an hour.
I would rather see it be a charrette situation where this is my bias again. And maybe it's on a different day, and maybe it's just to the public, and planning and zoning isn't even there, and they're giving their input on the maps, and then we get that information brought back to us, and then it gets processed into the new plan. I feel like there's so much of a, never mind.
I see what you're saying, Tracy. I think that I think that we need to be down on the floor with them, listening to what they're saying, watching them, let them point their fingers to the map, let them have the markers in their hand. And ultimately, this is a group effort between the commission, planning staff, and the constituency. So I think that we should all be there. And if it needs to be held on a different day, are we absolutely bound to the first and the third Tuesdays of the month? Do we have to have workshops on those particular days, or could it be a different day of the week?
I believe you could do them any day for a workshop. I would think. I mean, our workshop last time was on a Wednesday.
Yeah, I believe any day, Stephen. It just has to be advertised so that we can have a quorum there as commissioners, and yeah. But yeah, I'm kind of like you. I'd like to hear what they have to say too if they show up.
So well,
Tracy, why doesn't your office look at potential workshop type charrette or whatever in sometime in May? Pick a date, and I guess hopefully it's a date that'll work for everybody as far as commissioners go.
So then on May
Okay.
4th, staff will be presenting to us the plan that we want to take forward to the charrette. Is that what we'll discuss in regard to the master streets plan on the 4th? So that way we have something to move forward with for our workshop.
That sounds like a great
That's
idea.
an
This is
option.
green.
Yeah. Yeah, so in other words, what I'm hearing is Tracy, you guys kind of put together something, and then we'll discuss it May 4th as to the format of what we might want to look at. Is that rephrasing what you said, Stephen?
And also reviewing the finalized lines and such that they draw on the map that they have proposed that she's sharing on her screen right now.
Okay.
Right, without any, direction to do something different, we'll just take this map and make it, GIS drawn instead of magic markers. And we'll just move forward with this, if everyone's okay with that for, for now.
And so then at our next meeting, you'll bring together, or you'll bring a format of how we would proceed to include the public.
Yes, we can
Okay.
put together that, yes.
Any other comments? We don't need a motion to direct the staff to do that. They can just do that, right, Tracy?
I think so. Yeah.
Anybody else have a last comment, or else we'll move forward? Okay, next item, I guess, is just some information items, permits, for the solar development project. Any other items of business? Any previous business? Hearing none, I guess I would entertain a motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
Second.
Stephen jumped in there with the motion and Tom seconds. Let's go ahead and call the question and proceed to vote. Did we lose Cheryl?
Yeah, just about. Okay. Candelaria,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Levy,
Yep.
McDaniel,
Yes.
Remy.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Good luck, Tracy.
Thank you.
And we'll be looking forward to next meeting, I guess, and see what format we come up with. All right, thanks, everybody.